General Stanley McChrystal is on the line with us, a retired United States Army general, former commander of the International Security Assistance Force, and commander of United States forces in Afghanistan. He has a new book out. It's called My Share of the Task. His website, McChrystalGroup.com/myshare. General, welcome to the program.
Tom, thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. I spoke with a couple of years ago. This is back 3, 4, maybe 5 years ago in New York City at a talk radio convention. I spoke with one of the generals who was operating out of Afghanistan. And briefly, I was on a panel and I was walking out through the hall and shook hands and asked one question. And I thought, in retrospect, it was you. Were you at that convention?
I was not, Tom.
Oh, okay. Well, the fellow I spoke with, I asked him what he thought, how Afghanistan was going to resolve itself. And he said, one thing I know for sure is that we can't kill our way out of Afghanistan. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Well, I think that's absolutely right. At the end of the day, Afghanistan is going to be decided in the minds of Afghans. To give a little history, the Soviet Union fought there from 1979 to 1989, and 1.2 million Afghans were killed out of a population of about 24 to 26 million. You don't, in this kind of war, it's not like conventional war, World War II, where you crush the enemy. What you do is you convince the people which side they're going to back. It's like an argument between two sides, and the people decide which is most convincing.
Well, and apropos of that, right after 9/11, when the Taliban, and this was in the Washington Post, the Taliban explicitly offered to arrest Osama bin Laden and turn him over to a third nation for trial. They wouldn't send him to the United States, but they would send him to a third nation for trial. George W. Bush said, no thank you, and began bombing Afghanistan. Afghanistan at that point in time had a GDP of $2 billion a year. We spend that there in a week or so. Wouldn't it have been cheaper to take bin Laden and put him on trial someplace and give Afghanistan, $50 billion, $100 billion? I mean, give them like 5 or 10 years worth of GDP and say, here, build yourself a country, have a good time?
I think it's always easier not to fight than it is to fight, and always less expensive. But I'm unfamiliar with that being a credible offer to give up UBL or to stop harboring Al-Qaeda. I think there was a point there where we had to be guaranteed that, in fact, the mechanism, the leadership that had actually caused the 9/11 attacks to emanate from that team needed to be stopped. So I think there's a reasonable requirement to have protected America by bringing Al-Qaeda to a point where they couldn't prosecute that kind of attack.
Yeah. Your book, the epilogue to your book, I thought was particularly poignant, and it begins with a quote from Samuel Taylor Coleridge from the Rime of the Ancient Mariner that says, he went like one that hath been stunned and is of sense forlorn. A sadder and a wiser man, he rose the morrow morn. Is that you?
Well, to a degree it is, and it's just why I picked that last verse from Coleridge. You learn from everything you do in life. And when I decided to write My Share of the Task, I thought about how to put all the experiences I'd had into context to include the end of my career when the president accepted my resignation. And at the end of the day, as you'll see by looking at the epilogue's about leadership, and that was my experience. The things that happen to you, the little controversies, the people that you may like or not like, they don't become very important when you really capture the history of your life. Really, the story I was trying to tell was a history story wrapped in leadership and trying to communicate some of the amazing service of people that I got to be alongside and some of the big ideas that I experienced over so many years. So the little things don't make so much difference, but you do learn from all of them. And I learned from that.
Well, apropos of that, when Rolling Stone ran the article in which some of your officers were quoted speaking derisively or negatively of the president that led to your resignation, in retrospect, do you think it would have been better to push back and say, no, that's not me?
I thought a lot about that. In fact, there was an Inspector General report, Department of Defense, that came out some months later that took a very different view of the conclusions of the article than the article portrayed. But at the time, there were several things at work. First, we were in the process of a difficult part of the operation in Afghanistan, and that had to be most important. Second is President Obama is trying to lead a nation. He's a commander-in-chief, and one of the things one of his subordinate commanders, me, should try to do is prevent controversies from making his job more complicated. Now, whether I think that article was fair or not, it puts a controversy right in front of the president that he's got to deal with. So I thought it was my responsibility to offer my resignation and accept responsibility, whether I thought the article was particularly a fair depiction or not.
Yeah. Well, and apropos of that kind of, it's reflecting poorly on the administration, or it's getting back to the administration, or it's turned into a tabloid story, General Petraeus, found himself in a very, very different situation from you. But he and another general have apparently characterized the situation as being that there are general groupies out there. Are there groupies who follow generals around?
Well, I didn't have any, so I don't know.
Okay.
It's a great question.
Yeah. Well, so much for that one. I'm curious your thoughts about the elite kill squads that we've heard so much about.
Yeah. When we were, particularly the rise of this in Iraq, is we took the Task Force 714, and in my book what I do is I really lay out how the entire task force matured, and it became this incredibly effective force that did up to 300 raids a month, i.e. 10 a night, against a growing al-Qaeda in Iraq network. And led by Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, this network was extraordinarily bloodthirsty and extraordinarily lethal, killing Iraqi civilians by the thousands. So we had to build a network to defeat that, and it caused us to fight entirely different than we ever had before, really to be information-centric, to be an intelligence-based organization as opposed to other. Now, they weren't kill squads. What they were was we had teams that went out always with the effort to capture because we wanted to get information, but really to dismantle this network that Abu Musab al-Zarqawi had created and was constantly growing, accelerated by some of the outside pressures as well.
As a military man, does it, and a long tradition in the military in your family as well, and I'm sure your knowledge of the history of the military in the United States, the founders being so wary of a standing army that they require reauthorization every 2 years, only for the Army, not for anything else on earth. Does it concern you that a non-military branch of the executive branch, the CIA, is using drones to conduct extrajudicial killings inside countries with whom we are not at war? Drone strikes.
The way I'll take that is I'd first say that the use of, we call them unmanned aerial vehicles like the Predator, are extraordinarily important. They provide information. They allow you to watch things you couldn't watch, and they do have a strike capability. I think they are a necessary part of the tools that the United States should have and use effectively. Now, at the same time, I would say we need to be very, very cognizant that for everything you do, there is a reaction to it. Yep. When you shoot anything, but now it's become focused on drones in a foreign country or even in a country where you are operating, it's how it's perceived by the people matters a lot. I used to describe to people in 1998 when President Clinton made the decision to launch Tomahawks into Sudan and parts of Afghanistan in response to al-Qaeda's attacks on the embassies in East Africa. If you'd ask an American the next morning whether or not we were at war, most Americans would have said, no, we're not at war. We just shot some Tomahawks. If you asked someone in the vicinity of those Tomahawk strikes whether they were at war with the United States, they might have a different perspective.
Yeah.
And I think it's important we understand that because how people view us in the world determines how they act. Well,
and it's if Mexico decided that their narco problem was to send a drone over Phoenix and take out a house full of Mexican bad guys, I don't think Arizona would react very well, or America for that matter.
I think that's a good description. Whether or not their strike was against the correct target, we would probably be, unhappy with it.
Yeah. It seems that there's a lot of that going on in the world. Sir, we're pretty much out of time on this, but I just want to say I found this a fascinating book. We're talking with General Stanley McChrystal, U.S. Army retired. My Share of the Task, a memoir is the title of his book. The website is McChrystal, M-C-C-H-R-Y, Crystal Group, McChrystalGroup.com/myshare. Thank you for writing this book, and thank you for being with us today.
Well, Tom, thank you. Take care.
Good speaking.